What's up? What's up? My name is Tasha, and this is the Healthy, Happy, and Hot Show, where I take my 18 years as a fitness and nutrition coach and discuss how to become your best and healthiest self in a way that is simple and sustainable for you. Today, we're going to talk about something that plagues so many people each and every week, and that is the art of meal planning and meal prepping. Have you been there yourself where you're just like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm going to eat. So you just buy a whole bunch of things at the grocery store. You come back home, you put it in the fridge, you forget about it. You don't make a plan for what you're going to make for it. And then throughout the week, you just keep opening up the fridge, expecting something to hop out at you or some sort of sign from your ancestors to let you know what you should be cooking for that particular day. Next thing you know, you're frustrated because, again, it's at the end of the day. You just order out, and then that food that you just purchased and spent all that good money on just ends up going to the food gods, and not in a good way. And you end up throwing it away, and we continue to do this week after week after week. Well, my goal is that comes to an end today. So let's talk about meal planning and meal prepping. We know that it saves time and money, and it makes your life so much easier when you do it. But why don't we do it consistently? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that, and I'm going to take the first couple of minutes just to go over some common myths and issues when it comes to meal planning and prepping. So the first one is that it's expensive. It costs more to eat healthy and the food goes bad. And while there are some truths to that, depending on how much you're willing to prepare on your own, it doesn't have to cost more to eat healthy. You just have to do it in a way that's a little bit working smarter and not harder. And the food goes bad because we don't cook it. So we're going to get rid of that. The next one is that it's time consuming. It takes all day to make the meals. And again, if you are not used to meal prepping, then yes, it will take a little bit longer than expected. But again, there are some ways that we can make this easier so that it takes less time. And I will share some of those tips with you today. Limiting. I don't want to eat the same thing all week, and you don't have to. I am also a person that is not really into eating the same food over and over again. Heck, I'm not a person that likes leftovers. So you can have variety, still have things be delicious, still have things be healthy and according to your goals. Again, you'll learn more about that. Now, there are some folks that are just like, look, I just don't like cooking, period. And that's okay too, because that doesn't mean that you don't meal plan and that you don't figure out what the heck you're going to have for the week. The cooking part, we can make things a little bit easier. Or yeah, I have clients that due to their occupation and their career, they have to dine out and we make it work. Then the last one is that my family won't eat or like the meals. I have to plan separate meals or make separate meals that isn't on my plan. And what I'll say to that, if you want to, you can, but there are ways to get around that as well. And most of the time with my clients, their families love the meals to the point where they have to fight them off so that they can actually have leftovers. Okay. But first, let's figure out the difference, because meal planning and prepping gets used interchangeably. So let me just break down what each one of them is. So meal planning is literally just planning what you're going to eat for the week or the day. Okay. Meal planning has nothing to do with meal prepping. It has nothing to do with cooking. Meal prepping is cooking or preparing the items and or meals for the week. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do that as well. So let's break down, how do you meal plan? Well, the keys to good meal planning are reality and organization. You have to think of the worst case scenario and keep it as simple as possible. You want to plan for the worst while expecting the best. Meal plans are nothing more than blueprints and guides. You are not locked into them. This is not a prison. You're not being held hostage by your meal plan. You can always make adjustments. And you don't have to eat the same thing every day. Variety is what makes it fun. You can also just meal plan for the day. It doesn't matter if you're dining out or if you're cooking at home. Just know what the heck you're going to eat each day by the time you get up. And then the best thing you can do to make sure that your family enjoys it is to get your family involved for the best results. So let's break this down even further. The way that you want a meal plan, first you got to look at your schedule for the week. Are you crazy busy with work, personal stuff, family obligations? If so, please don't try and have a hour, 30-minute long lasagna or some risotto with a huge roasted chicken that you have to keep basting every 10 minutes because you're not going to have time to do that. You want to make sure that you're planning meals that are quick, simple, delicious, and easy. Do you have breakfast, lunch, and or dinner plans? If so, you don't need to plan a meal for those situations unless you have a family who won't be there. Then maybe, if you want to, you can make sure that you have something for your family. But otherwise, don't plan a meal for those times when you're dining out or meeting people out. Then when you factor those two things in, you're able to see how many actual meals you need to make. A lot of times people will plan 7 meals, but remember, each meal, especially if you're going off of a recipe, there's 4 servings in each meal if we're eating according to our portion size. So if you're just one person, or maybe there's just you and another person, you don't need 7 meals at all. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're factoring in leftovers and all of that stuff to realize how many meals you typically need. For most of my clients, if they are single folks, then maybe they just need to plan 2 to 3 meals. And if they have a significant other or spouse, there's 2 people they're cooking for, maybe 4 meals, and families anywhere between 4 to 5 meals. Okay. Now, next you got to figure out, what have you and your family been craving? Again, this is my way of going about this. So I like to really show folks that you can cook the things that you really enjoy at home. So the other part about that is if you aren't excited about what you're going to eat, you're definitely going to find a way out. So think about this. If you made like baked chicken seasoned with just salt and pepper with some steamed broccoli and some brown rice, think about that waiting for you at home versus like your friends being like, come on, let's go out. Let's go to like Houston's or some other new restaurant. That, believe me, it's going to be easy to turn down that like struggle bus baked chicken. So make sure that you're excited about what you're going to eat at home. Make sure that your family is involved with choosing at least one meal that they're excited about as well. Then go to one of my favorite places to search for healthy recipes, and that is Pinterest. Pinterest, man, they'll give you copycats on everything, healthy versions on everything. And yeah, just go into Pinterest, type in healthy, let's say you're craving tacos, you can type in healthy tacos, boom, and you'll get healthy versions of those meals. If you need it to be quick, healthy tacos, boom. So also look for copycat meals from some of your favorite restaurants. That is why I got into cooking in the first place. I was spending way too much money dining out, and I'm frugal, but I also like really good food. So when I learned how to cook some of my favorite meals, that made me not go to restaurants as much. And then I got up to the point when I've like really got into cooking and modifying recipes and things like that. Man, listen, a lot of times my meals are much better than those restaurants, but we don't come out of the womb knowing how to cook. So this is something that definitely takes practice. Okay. So again, remember that one meal is usually for 4 servings. So that could be great for the next day or later in the week for lunch. You wouldn't want it to sit out more than like 3 days, but you might need to increase your servings based on your family size. Okay. Then after you get that, make a list of all the ingredients that you need that you don't already have. So make sure to check your fridge, freezer, pantry for those items so that you don't double buy. Sometimes I actually meal plan based on the stuff that I have in my fridge, freezer, or pantry because I don't feel like going to the grocery store that much. 99% of the time, after you do that and you have your list, only shop for the things you need to make your meals. Okay? And then already have a meal planned or prepared after you go grocery shopping, because I don't know what it is, but like, last thing I feel like doing whenever I get back from the grocery store is cook. Like, I'm not cooking. So already have something planned or pick something up. There's no harm, no foul, and just kind of keep it going. Next up, what if you want a meal plan while traveling? It's very similar to meal planning in general. If you're staying at a hotel, check the Google Maps for restaurants around you and plan ahead by looking at their menus. Okay, you can choose even a hotel that has a kitchen or kitchenette so you can have some of your own meals. Even if it just has a fridge and a microwave, there's so much that you can do with that. You can buy some bag salads, you can buy some healthier frozen meals and, go about it that way. Or at least if you dine out, you can get a healthier version, get some bag salad, take half of it home or back to the hotel and reheat it in the microwave. So remember, you can always ask for things on the side or a light amount and substitute as needed whenever you're dining out. I like to say when you go out to a restaurant, it's kind of like having a personal chef. They are there to prepare things the way that you like. Now, don't roll in there with, entitlement on your sleeve and in your throat and just be like, yes, you're going to make me this, be polite and, just say like, hey, I'm kind of doing this thing. Can we, go a little bit light on this or have this on the side? I've done this in every type of restaurant, even Chinese restaurants where like I am the one with the audacity on sale to ask them to like go light on brown sauce or something, but they do it. I'm like, hey, could you go a little bit lighter on the brown sauce, or could you put the brown sauce on the side? Like they do the surprise Pikachu face. I'm not gonna lie, because they're just like, why are you here? But you can use that brown sauce, add it in as you need to, swear everything will be fine. So substitute. I've even been that crazy person, legit. I've gone to like Olive Garden way back in the day. I don't like Olive Garden, but I've gone to Olive Garden and literally ordered a dish without the pasta because I'm not a big pasta person. So I asked them, hey, what kind of veggies can we sub on the side? And let me tell you, that was a whole mind blown for them because this was literally about 10 years ago. So this was not something they were used to, but you know what? Explained it to them. We made it happen. Everything was good. All right. So now that we've gone through meal planning, let's talk a little bit more about meal prepping. So there's a few ways that you can meal prep, and I'm going to give you some pros and cons of all that. One, you could cook all the meals for the entire week. The pros about that is that you have cooked all the meals for the entire week. You don't have to do anything except for reheat. The con about that is that if you don't like reheating foods, which is one of my biggest things, I'm not a fan of leftovers for the reheat purposes, then, things can potentially dry out and then you're just kind of like, this sucks. And I'm not saying cook the same thing. You can cook a variety of meals, but cooking them all at once can be a pain for some people. And of course, it takes longer in the kitchen as well. But for some others, that's their saving grace. So do what works best for you. Another version is that you can cook meals for 3 days and then cook on the rest on another day. So for my clients that enjoy doing that, they'll do that on Sunday and Wednesday. But let me tell you, have something for Wednesday. You don't want to be cooking and then just have a meal ready for Wednesday because you're probably going to just not do that. And then the third way about meal prepping, which is typically the way that I kind of do this, is that you prepare the items by chopping, slicing, putting things in marinade, etc., and then you cook each meal fresh. When you do that, it typically only takes anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes for cooking. So let me explain, because you're probably like, nah, that ain't right. So when I get home, I will typically chop, slice, prep. If I'm using chicken, I already know what I'm making again. So I'm putting raw chicken in a marinade, letting that sit, getting all my roasted vegetables if I'm doing something like that, chopping them together, flipping them in olive oil and whatever kind of seasonings I'm using, and then getting that stuff all together. Most of the time with chicken, I'll slice that up so that it cooks faster. Or if it's fish, it typically will cook faster anyway. But getting all of those things marinated and prepared, because cooking is actually relaxing to me at the end of the day. So then all I got to do is just like, psh, psh, psh. That was me cooking on the stovetop. And it takes a lot less time. We're literally talking about 15 minutes because when you have chicken sliced and it's not super thick, it cooks up really quickly. The fish, it typically only takes like 10 minutes to cook even like really thick salmon, it can take maybe, let's say, maximum 14 minutes. And you're doing the other stuff at the same time. If you have an air fryer, this changes your life and makes things take a lot less time as well. So that's the way I like to do it, because I like to have fresh food. But figure out your meal plan personality, and just know that that could change each week depending on your schedule. Sometimes I've had a busier schedule and I've needed to cook things in advance. Other times I have the time and I can do it the way that I enjoy it. All right, let's talk some meal prepping tips and tricks. You always want to have a go-to meal. Go-to meals are solid. This is a meal that you know everyone will love, and it's quick and easy to make. This can be a weekly standby or one that you have in case you don't feel like eating what you make one day. So that can be, I like to make go-to meals for lunches as well as dinners, because it just takes the thinking out of it. In the beginning of meal prepping, make sure you make like a flow chart, or at least mentally kind of plan based on the recipes you have, the order things need to be cooked. So if I have something that's a rice dish, I'm going to make the rice first. That takes the longest amount of time. If I know that I'm roasting vegetables with one meal and then another meal is something that's like a sheet pan, I can cook both of those at the same time. So just look through all of the recipes to see what you're doing, to see what can be easy to make. Biggest thing that trips up everybody that uses recipes, they don't read the thing all the way through. Read the full recipe before you get started. Highlight things if you need to, okay? But make sure you know what's happening, because it is inevitable. Somebody's like, well, I didn't like the way that tasted. And I was like, okay, well, what happened? Did you read through the whole recipe? Well, what had happened was, like, I thought it said do this. I just assumed it was this way. And then I put something in at the wrong time, or I misread the measurement and all of that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, recipes are recipes because they're recipes. And I swear to you, if you are not confident with cooking, recipes can be a great way to get you started, because that's how I got started. And then you can go off trail with it, but you definitely want to read the full recipe first. Then get all the ingredients together. I do this all the time. If I'm using something new, because I love trying new meals, then I will get all the ingredients sliced and chopped. I have little bowls for all of this, just so when it's time, boom, I'm getting it all together. Also, get out all your spices and herbs and measuring cups and spoons so that you can just flow as quickly as possible. Another tip: have frozen veggies available at all times. I will always have frozen veggies in the freezer, because it is a quick and easy way to make sure that I have veggies available that will not go bad, that I can microwave, I can roast, I can air fry, whatever. They're not going to go bad. Then also make your proteins faster to cook. Like I was talking about before, thinly slicing or dicing the chicken or beef, whatever, to make it cook faster, or using fish, that makes things go a lot faster when you're meal prepping. And here's another like pro tip, but you might not feel super comfortable doing this. Undercook the fish or chicken or beef just a little bit, not raw, just undercook it so that when you reheat it, it's cooking it to perfection. Again, that may take a little bit of time to like get comfortable doing, but I always like undercook, especially if I'm making chicken breast, I'll undercook it a little bit just so that when I'm reheating, and again, it's just sitting with other undercooked chicken. It's not that big of a deal. And then when I reheat everything, then it actually cooks it to perfection. I have not gotten sick or anything like that. But again, if you don't feel comfortable, don't do that. Other thing is using chicken thighs, using some of those other fattier cuts so that when they reheat, they don't lose flavor. So chicken thighs, I just recently started getting into those because you can reheat, it's hard to overcook them. So they still maintain flavor even with reheating. Other meal prepping tips and tricks, you can do one pot or sheet pan meals. Those are super easy to cook and clean. They don't require you to stand up over the oven or, over the stove. So you can get some other stuff done. Anytime I have something going in the oven or in the air fryer, that's when I take the time to clean up the kitchen, because I like to pretty much by the time my food is ready, like everything is already clean. Other thing you could do is batch cook side dishes. Roast the veggies all at once. Make all of the potatoes. Cook a big batch of rice so that all you have to worry about is cooking the protein. Okay? So get all those other things out of the way. Next up, you can purchase pre-cut veggies or proteins. It saves you time because you're not the one that's slicing, dicing, seasoning, but it will definitely cost you more. And in these food times of 2022, I'm going to do everything. If I could save money by plucking my own vegetables, which yes, I know that is having a garden and I could just have a garden. But if I could have already had a ready-made garden and just pluck it myself and save some money, totally would do that, okay? Because these prices, they are high. But then also look at some of your local farmers markets or even like a community basket, a CSA or something like that, because that can also save you some money, and they just deliver it straight to your house, and you're going to be eating fruits and vegetables that's in season and that is local. The other thing you could do, visit a hot bar or deli. Think about what you hate to cook. You can always fall back on a rotisserie chicken and veggies in a pinch. It is easy. And if you, let's say you don't like cooking proteins, make the sides and then always get the proteins out, maybe at your favorite restaurant. Caribbean, Peruvian restaurants are magic for this, okay? Because you could just get that amazing jerk chicken or that Peruvian chicken. My mouth is salivating as I'm talking about it, and then just make your sides. Okay, so think about how to make this easy for you. Get an Instapot or crock pot or air fryer. Those are easy to use and clean, and your food will be ready for you and waiting for you in a shorter period of time than you standing over it. Also, make sure you have the right tools to make things easier. Get a sharp knife. Oh my gosh, I remember I went over to a client's house to show her how to meal prep because I used to do these in person for VIP days. I couldn't cut a tomato with the knife she had. She's like, I hate meal prepping. Heck, I would too if I was using a dull knife. So we went and got her a sharp knife. Her life was changed forever. So get a sharp knife, some cutting boards, appropriate storage containers to make things easier. Next up, find a way to make it fun for you, okay? Have a meal prep party with a neighbor or friend or two. Get some music going. I always have to cook with music. You can even have a little bit of wine, not too much wine, but a little bit of wine, and make your meals for your families too. So if you have a whole bunch of folks, have a meal prep party, and then y'all can split up the things that you're making. Or you stay at your own homes because maybe you don't like people over your house like that. Meal prep, have everything together, and then y'all can exchange some of the meals like that, okay? Set up an environment to make it fun in your own way. You do want to clean up as you go to limit the kitchen crazier. And again, as you continue doing it, you have to practice to make it better. Now, I did talk about, you folks that you're just like, I don't like cooking. So what do you do when you hate cooking? Okay, well, you don't have to cook and be healthy. I will always say that cooking will allow you to control the ingredients and make sure that you're eating as healthy as possible. When you dine out, the sodium is always higher from the proteins, and there are a lot of hidden sugars. So some of the common reasons people don't like to cook is that they feel they can't cook, cooking takes too long, they end up wasting food and get bored with the meals. But unless you have the budget to dine out all the time or order these things out, at some point you're going to have to get into the cooking thing. So just learn how to make some of your favorite meals healthier. Try some meal kits to help with creativity, things like Blue Apron, HelloFresh, Sunbasket. And then you can also find some meal prep companies like Freshly, Pete's Paleo. There's so many that are out and about. They pop up every day for folks that don't want to cook. So lastly, let's talk about what happens if you're in a pinch and you just are not prepared. Okay, you didn't do any of the things I said at all or recommended for you in the beginning. You're just like, So you're in a pinch and you're not prepared. Visit the hot bar at the supermarket. We talked about this before. Grab some protein bars and have them on hand so you can just have those in case of emergency in your bag, at your office, in the car. Make sure if you're doing that you do not have things that can melt, because that is horrible. Okay. Let's see. If you're doing protein bars, some of the things to do, look for ingredients, the lesser the better, easier to pronounce. You want to look for ingredients like fillers, like glycerin, maltitol, carrageenan, soy stuff. You want to make sure it at least has 15 grams of protein for it to be a true protein bar, for it to last you a little bit of time. Carbs, ideal a little bit lower, so 6 to 8, if the goal is weight loss. And you want to try and get some that have some fiber in it, like 6 grams of fiber. Make sure the sugar is a little bit lower as well. And calories, if you want it to be a snack, it's around 200. A meal replacement is more about 400, okay? So if you go with one of those 150 bars, those are just going to last you like an hour or so, okay? Some of the best bars that I've had, Quest bars, I love their natural line. It's sweetened with like stevia or cane sugar instead of sucralose. The regular line is sweetened with sucralose, so I don't consume them often, but their taste is amazing. Vega bars are good to me. Pure Protein can be okay. Nugo, N-U-G-O, can be pretty tasty. Pro Bar, Oatmega, RX bars, which they seem really freaky because they're talking about egg whites, but they are actually really good. Lenny and Larry cookies, just make sure that you know that half a cookie is a serving size. And one of my other new favorites is the Jimmy bar, especially the Focus, because that's like a cookies and cream, and I like that stuff. But I will typically just go to the grocery store, look at a couple of different bars to see which ones that I feel are the best and the yummiest, and then I'll try them. Sometimes I love them, sometimes they're disgusting, but then it gives me just kind of like an idea of some of the bars that I can use in a pinch. You can also, in a pinch, do some jerky, turkey jerky, beef jerky. The sodium is high, so you want to make sure you're drinking a lot of water, but that can be helpful if you are just stuck out there in the streets and you're trying not to go to somebody else's drive-through, okay? So the main thing here is just to make sure that you have a plan in place. I have had clients that I have personally traveled and needed to eat, and I ate out of a Wawa for almost a week with their sandwiches and their salads. There are decent options literally everywhere. You just have to make sure that you have a plan, and then make sure if there's a grocery store, that's always going to be your best bet. But just plan it, think it through. Being healthy and eating healthy absolutely takes some mind power initially, and then as you continue to do it, it just gets easier. All right, y'all. Well, that is all for me today. Definitely let me know how this episode connected with you. You can connect with me on social media, on Facebook and IG at Mix, M-I-X, Kitchen Fitness. And if you'd like to learn more about what I do and see how we can work together, or sign up for my new free 3-day Busy Healthy Bodies weight loss course, you can do all of that by going to bit.ly/It's Tosha, all lowercase, ITSTOSHA. So that's bit.ly/ITSTOSHA. Lastly, if you have any questions, email me at healthyhappyhotshow@gmail.com, and I'll answer them on the next episode. Until next week, stay healthy, my friends.